You good?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, Dan's never ready, but we'll try. Good clap. That was a little quiet.
We can do more of a clap.
Yeah, here we go. Dan's Like a Podcast, episode 23. We're live now, Will. We're live. How we doing?
We're not live, but let's go.
We are live. No, the release is live anyway.
Oh, that
All right,
live.
so
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
How about this? Where we're on. So, on one of the previous recent episodes, I talked about the idea of procrastination hierarchy and the efficacy there. A lot of folks give a negative connotation to procrastination, but I think it is one of the most productive things that folks can do. It gives us incredible ideas. It lets our minds wander. It lets us be our most natural selves in our state of nature, and really just get in tune with our crazy mind. So, where am I wrong on procrastination? I think we need more of it in life.
More procrastination. So I think a lot of people are just like in this kind of perpetual hole of procrastination.
Yeah.
And so if they hear, oh, what you're doing is actually fine, like, I don't think that's good advice to give people. I think where it could be useful is like to just try to give yourself a more honest assessment of like what you're actually doing. And so for people who are actually pretty productive but are beating themselves up for the small procrastinations, maybe casting that into light. I think there's some power in that for sure.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's interesting one is like everything we do has a trade-off. So even if you're being productive in one moment, you're quote unquote what you define as productive. The next, because you're doing that one thing, you're not doing something else. So like in every moment that you're working, you're not building your relationship with a significant other or something like that. So I feel like there's a lot of.
I guess you could think of procrastination as kind of like that argument about atheists just, they go one more than every other religion, because like if you subscribe to one religion, you're saying no to everything else. So
Right.
I guess you could say like procrastinators are the same thing. It's like, oh well, when you're doing one thing, you're saying no to everything. So procrastinators just go one further.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, I think that I think we're all procrastinators. I kind of stole that idea from my boy Tim Urban at Wait But Why. He has a really good TED talk on it, where it's like talking about the he kind of breaks it down into the idea of instant gratification over, and then talking about big picture things too. It's like you can focus on one thing, but we have our professional virtues, and then our kind of end of life virtues are like the shit that we will say on our.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like you're kind of sneaking in just like some mindfulness under the door with this one.
Always sneaking mindfulness.
Sneaky.
How do you sneaky? What's the theme with Dan? I suppose.
All right, so logical fallacy situation. So I give you, we had a deep conversation last weekend about my belief in fairies, and you're like, well, how can you believe in fairies? Prove it to me. And I told you, well, Dan, prove to me that fairies don't exist. So why is that line of reasoning completely?
You just put my brain in a blender. I was like, damn, I'm like rethinking everything about what reality really is. I was like, damn, I can't prove anything. Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's a burden of proof fallacy, right?
That's right. Yep, ding ding, you got it. Hey,
wow, I actually got
one for 23. These are very hard to get.
One for 23 or something like that. I think I got one more. But yeah, the burden of proof has to be on you to prove that fairies do exist. The burden of proof is not on me. You see this a lot. It's interesting. I think there are some where it's like the burden of proof. We should flip where the burden of proof is.
Can you think of an example of where like that's true?
Yeah, it's kind of like someone makes a claim against you. It's tough to come back from it in certain instances. The burden of proof, even if like I think something like Glassdoor. Folks will use Glassdoor to really like hate on the current employers. They might just have bad experience. I mean, you need to take it with a grain of salt. But the burden of proof should be on the anonymous poster to say if they had an adverse experience, and then the company will have to in many ways like walk it back and try to like unprove that they were the ones that were shitty. The burden of proof should be on the first person.
Right, it's like you're posting anonymously. Come forward and be real about it. But yeah, but then there are like a lot of situations where it's like you need anonymity to even get some of those responses.
Right, yeah, if it's like your current boss. That's the beauty of the product. That's why it's a cool company. But that's the first one popped in my mind.
Yeah, no, I think people mix this up all the time with like whenever someone challenges, especially when someone challenges a belief, just like my fairy belief, right? They get really dug in when they think like, oh, I don't have to prove I already believe it. It's your job to show me something better. It's like,
right.
Like you have some burden here, boy. Come on.
It's good. We see a lot of politics too. Okay, let's see. Software update. This is more of like a way to use our current software more effectively, I think. So every 4 years or so, there's something in the U.S. called an election. That's actually every 2 years, but most folks only focus on every 4 years with the president, what have you. How do we make politics more engaging for the times that aren't up to aren't around election time? Like how do we make it more like sports, where folks are focused on all year and all 4 years, just to get more engagement?
So yeah, I don't know, like higher engagement. Like it is kind of the legal system, the political system, which is like the feeder to the legal system, right? It's not like inherently very exciting.
Yeah.
Like it's almost de facto words and words alone. And I don't know, I feel like if news coverage had a way to do that, they've probably tried their darndest already and failed. Just because it's like, content creation mecca. It's like,
right. Yeah, so you're saying if it's something we want, do we want
you're saying like, do we want? So it's like the low quality of engagement. Like, do you want more deep engagement? Because I think to get more deep engagement, that's obviously a longer game where like you have to do the investments in sorts of like education around like thinking and education around some of the things you mentioned in previous episodes where we're talking about like, okay, how do we become better listeners? How do we make better arguments? So I don't know. I feel like if you just want like hey, let's quickly ramp up how many people participate, and your metric is just number of participation, I don't know if you're going to get like what you actually want. I feel like, can you tell me more about what you actually want?
I don't know what I actually want. That's what it's smarter than me. Let's figure this out. I think it's like, I don't know, imagine if there was like kind of like a quarterly review or like around certain issues and like made it, I guess like, oh, so-and-so scored 5 points in this issue, so-and-so scored 10 in this, and then kind of did more of a report around different things that folks are interested in. It's like, oh, if you're really interested in climate change, you can get like the readout of what Congress did in XYZ, and then like make it more metrics based as opposed to just kind of whatever you see on
right, yeah, kind of like gamifying it. Yeah, okay.
I can gamify it. Yeah.
I can buy that. So it's not like
to be continued there.
Yeah, to be continued for sure. Okay, so here's your magic wand, also in the voter trend.
I like it.
You get to change the laws around who gets to vote and how. So it can't stay just you're 18, you can vote. What do you change it to? You can move the age up, move it down, just not do age, do something else. What is it?
I was hoping I'd have something in the 7 minutes that you gave me to ponder. I think no votes. I think we just leave it to 3 oligarchs, and they choose the person in power. We have no idea who it is.
The three highest companies on the stock market get to decide.
That'd be so bad. That's so medieval. But that's kind of like where we're at. I don't know. No, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that's pessimistic. I think we do a pretty good job of getting everyone's voice out. Yeah, I mean, it begs the question of, do we, democracy, how effective is it as a whole?
I mean,
can
here's
you
the
help with something? Would be age, because right now it's just age and like U.S. citizen, right? 18 U.S. citizen.
Yes, definitely citizen. Yeah, definitely 18. Although
Yeah.
you can register if you're 17 if your birthday is before the election, but not happened yet, right? Yeah.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, I would say, the first thing that I think of is, the set of like basic, knowledge of, what a law is, or like maybe some sort of, but we can't really come to grips on, what facts are these days. I don't know, man. That would be politicized immediately if there was like a quiz.
Poll tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is like that would be seen as an infringement on freedoms, even
Right.
even with the best of intentions. So yeah, and it's like birth certificates or something. It's like everybody has that. Verify your age usually.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, imagine if the stakes for voting were just like life and death. Like people would just like forge birth certificates and just like completely fraud out the system. If it were that like, if it were that meaningful. I mean, people do that for like cigarettes. Like they would definitely do that for elections if it meant something more.
I think you're right. Yeah, I don't know. This was a tough magic wand. I liked it though. Good hypothetical. What was the example around? I'm trying to figure out your ideas on birth certificates.
So just like so for example, kids get fake IDs to go get alcohol.
Right.
So alcohol means more to most young people than voting.
Right.
Right. Like the level of fakery, the depths that someone is willing to go to do something is an indicator of the value to them.
That's interesting, yeah.
So it's just like people don't like no. I don't know any high schoolers getting fake IDs to vote. Yeah. Even though it's also a crime. They're just like, if I get caught,
16-year-olds are like, I need to be 18, gotta vote.